system of knowledge or Indian knowledge systems, and what actually is the method that they employ. And particularly, I was actually presenting to you a slide. Let me share that slide once again. Yeah, you are able to see, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is what I had stopped at, that jnana, will knowledge in Indian context, is classified into mainly three types of knowledge: jnana, pramanya jnana, and pramanya anubhava jnana. And if you see the system of knowledge as it is present in Indian context, there is also a method by which the knowledge is generated. And in the context of our research work, that PhD that we are doing, universities basically are wanting you to follow the scientific method. That is proving something based on empirical evidences, and objectivity is the hallmark. That is how the universities are preparing the research scholars to undertake research. Whereas in the Indian context, there are six different ways of knowing. There are when you say that the knowledge is created, the knowledge is present, then it might have been generated through one or more of these six ways. One way that when you say pramanya jnana, verified knowledge, the knowledge has to be verified, or pramana has to be given. The pramana has to be given, and for that we have pratyaksha is one way of proving. Pratyaksha pramana. Pratyaksha pramana, what do you think it means? What is pratyaksha pramana? Pratyaksha pramana. What do you think it would mean? Kavita madam.
Sir?
What do you think it will mean? Pratyaksha pramana. Yes?
The candidate purely observe and participant in research, sir.
Okay.
Purely participate in research and purely observe and questionnaire interschedule in primary observation and primary participant. Not for a secondary participant.
What is the meaning of pratyaksha?
Pratyaksha meaning one participant.
Yeah, Rajkumar is speaking, I think. Rajkumar sir, do you want to say something? Suvarna madam.
It is known by himself or herself.
Who is saying this?
Dakshinamurti.
Dakshinamurti sir. Yeah, known by
himself or herself.
Himself. Yeah, pratyaksha. Actually, pratyaksha pramana is through the sensory perception. I have seen it. I have heard it. You know, I have felt it. These are all pramanas. I know that. I mean, this water is hot. How do I know that? I have a pratyaksha pramana of feeling it. I feel the heat. I have seen somebody do this. What is the pramana there? I have seen by sight. So pratyaksha can be use of any of the sensory organs. And that is how I know. I have seen, I have heard, I have touched, I have felt. You know, these are the kinds of sensory experiences which creates knowledge. The second is anumana. What is anumana? Anumana.
Suspects.
Yeah. Suspecting something?
Yes,
Mangala
sir.
madam? Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. You see, for example, when you are going out of your room now and you see that there is water outside, and when you see water everywhere, you would say that it must have rained. You have not seen the rain. You have no pratyaksha pramana for rain, but what you are seeing is water. And based on that, you are saying it might have rained here. So that is anumana. For example, if you see smoke, you say there might be fire. But you are not seeing the fire, but you are seeing the smoke. So the knowledge also can be generated through anumana. This is another way of generating knowledge in the Indian system. Shabda. Shabda is where something is written. You know that this is written in the book. That is why this is knowledge. This is stated by so and so who is an authority. Somebody who is an expert in this field has said this. So this must be true. So this is another. Upamana is another way of proving knowledge. Arthapatti is another way of proving knowledge. And Anupalabdhi is also a way of. These are 6 different ways of proving knowledge in the Indian system. It is not just empiricism. It is not just objectivity. The Indian knowledge system has 6 different ways of proving something or verifying something. So that is what we must remember. Let me come to the research itself. Research, when I say it is creation of knowledge, then are there different types of research? What do you think? Are there different types of research?
Yes, sir.
Yes, definitely. Suvedita madam said yes. There are types of research. For example, basic research, applied research, action research is one classification of researches. Basic research is the one which I said earlier, theory generating research. Basic research is one which is requiring a longer duration of time. But much of the research that we undertake in our PhD programs is applied research. That means some theory is used, some kind of evidence is used, and some applications is arrived at. So that is applied knowledge. Whereas action research is something which we do in a context like our classroom. Like suppose I'm teaching a certain thing in a certain way, and I feel that the students are not very interested in what I teach, then I might change my method of teaching, and I might try to find out whether that method is working, not working. I'm not interested in generalizing something. I'm not interested, interested in generalizing it to another class also. So that kind of a research is action research. Please remember, in action research, the term action is very important. I'm doing something, I'm implementing something, and I'm trying to find out whether what I did has given me the result or not. So that is. So this is one classification. Is there any other classification of researches? Do you know of? Other than basic, applied, and action research? Is there any other way of classifying research? You would have heard about quantitative and qualitative research. Have you? Have you heard about quantitative and qualitative research? Yes? Any of you? Quantitative research and qualitative research. Yeah, is it difficult to, answer this question?
Quantity
Yes.
refers to how much.
Okay. Quantitative research and qualitative research, actually, much of the researches in sociology, education, etc., they are qualitative by nature. And science, mathematics, they employ quantitative. Yes, Parvati madam?
Sir, anything which is related to this number of data
data,
correct.
and that kind of research is quantitative.
Good. Let me try to bring to you what really is the difference between these types of researches. In this slide, you can see. ಹೌದು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಂಗಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಯು ಆರ್ ರೈಟ್. ಸಿ the classification ಮತ್ತು
ಪರಿಮಾಣ ಸರ್.
ಪರಿಮಾಣ means quantity. Fine. Basic research and applied research, I said they differ in so many ways. They differ in their meaning, they differ in their nature. For example, basic research is theoretical research, whereas applied research is practical research. Utility wise, basic research is universally applicable. It applies everywhere. Say, for example, Boyle's law or Newton's 3 laws, they apply universally. It doesn't matter where you are using it. It is universal in its application. Whereas applied research is limited. See, one of you said that I have tried to find out something on fish as the sample. The effect of something on fishes. It has actually application which is limited to what I have studied. So that is why applied research is more limited, whereas utility wise, basic research is universal. It is concerned with developing scientific knowledge and predictions, whereas the applied research that is on development of technology and techniques. The goal is to add some knowledge to the existing one, find something new, add new knowledge, whereas, or add new law, add new theory, whereas applied research has its goal to find solution for the problem at hand. So there is a difference between these two kinds of research. As I told you, much of the research that we undertake in our PhD programs is probably classifiable under applied research. Let me now bring to you the difference between quantitative and qualitative research. A qualitative research usually answers why question, why something is happening. Whereas a quantitative research answers the question in terms of how much, how many, how much has changed, how much is the effect. So quantitative research is using, answering questions of that kind. Whereas data type, which kind of data is used in qualitative research? It is observational data, symbolic data, which is words, etc. Whereas in quantitative research, it is number, statistical. Somebody also said this, that she was developing a statistical model for predicting the groundwater level in Bangalore. So by definition then, that research would fall under quantitative research, not qualitative research. In terms of the approach that we are using, observe and interpret. Observe something, interpret something. That means if you are becoming a part of a group, you are observing the group and you are interpreting what is happening in the group. That is the kind of work which a qualitative researcher does. Much of sociology, anthropology, psychology researches are undertaken in this manner. Whereas quantitative research, we are measuring or testing. We are measuring something. That is why measuring instruments are required, tools are required, and we are also testing whether something is happening to a certain extent or not. So quantitative research has that kind of a emphasis in terms of its approach. Whereas the analysis is in terms of which is actually a grouping of common data. There is no statistics involved in qualitative research, whereas in quantitative research, it is either mathematical or statistical analysis. So this is what we can say about the difference between these two kinds of research. Let me now come to this question, origin of a research idea. Let me for a short while stop this sharing and come back to you. You told me about the kind of research which you have been doing. and you have done in your PhD work, etc. Can you tell me how did you arrive at that topic? What was the origin of that research? How did you identify that topic for research? Let me begin with Neha madam. Neha madam. Neha, can you hear me? Okay. Anyone else? Seema? Seema Mahaske. Are you there? Okay, Kavita madam has come. Kavita madam? Yeah. Can you tell me how did you decide on that topic of your research?
My personal interest at first, sir.
Okay.
After I decided my guide,
Okay.
because of my topic is working women problems and challenges. So I am working woman. So
Okay.
many challenges, problems, but most of I know that because of
Very
my
good.
topic is
Very
working
good. Very
women
good.
problems and challenges.
Basically, it was based on your personal experiences, personal observations that you decided. Okay,
Yes,
Deepti
sir.
madam has come. Deepti madam, can you speak? How did you identify the topic of your research? Deepti Patil madam. Deepti madam. Okay, anyone else? Yeah, Deepti madam has come back. Yes. Would you like to speak, Deepti madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, so first I just Googled myself like in which area I'm interested. Then
Okay.
for me, though it is a finance, I want to do my research in finance area. So I selected finance. Then I choose what all topic can be latest now. What is going on? So when I thought like something digital related, artificial intelligence related, it is there. Then I started working on it. Then I went to the Google Scholar. There I searched certain literature review related like to that keywords. So I chose first 2 3 keywords I chose. Based on that, I started working. Then I spoke to my
Good.
seniors
Good.
also. Then I selected my topic.
Good. Good.
Sir, am I audible
Essentially,
now?
yeah, Neha is audible. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, sir, there was some internet issue. Yeah, so how I chose my topic of research was firstly, I was interested in topic of cancer, and since it was cancer biology, and typically I searched how the gene, whatever I was interested in, how it is being studied, and it was very rare, only 1 or 2 papers which I found. That's when I grew interest and I wanted to know what only one Chinese report was there on whatever area I worked on. So I wanted to check, is it the similar kind of thing happening in India as well, like Indian samples? So that's how I did. And then there's extensive review of literature. Basically, review of literature helped me understand the depth of what research is done and what's not done. So based on that,
Good.
I
Very
conducted the
good.
research.
Friends, as Neha madam has said, see, there is a research gap. She has found out that there is not much of research on an issue or a problem which is very important in the field of study which she is doing. And as a result of that, she zeroed in on this particular topic. Yeah, that is another way of. Whereas we had earlier speaker who had said that she was interested in it. And Kavita said, I think it was her personal experience, being a working woman. So there are different ways with which a researcher might come to identify a topic of research. Let me now continue with my presentation. Yeah. Origin of a research idea, how does it happen? See, this is the question that I was trying to answer. Okay. Research questions often begin as more general research ideas usually focusing on some issue, concern, problem in the context of that subject. This is what happens. And there are different ways or different sources of a research idea. How that idea comes to us. One is informal observations. Another is practical problems that in the field, in the discipline, discipline people are facing, or practical problems which the people in general are facing. And third is previous research, which I think Dr. Neha mentioned about. She did a very thorough review of related literature. That means previous research studies, what all studies have been done and what did they find out and what was missing or what was the gap, etc. So in informal observations, it may be first-hand observation. Like Kavita madam said, that being a working woman, she had known a few of the issues or difficulties that working women are facing. Maybe there are more, so then she started exploring. But it began with the first-hand observations, or it can also begin with the second-hand observation. That is newspapers, blogs, books, etc. They are second-hand. They are not first-hand. This is another way with which informal observation may be made. Whereas practical problems are to what extent use of cell phone impairs hearing for learning, for example, is a practical problem. How can we teach children to read more efficiently is a practical problem. So such problems which are actually leading to research studies that a researcher wants to find, address that problem, find a solution for that problem, etc. So this is the way we tend to begin. Now, what needs to be included in the research topic? When we write the topic, we should be able to tell the variables, what is the variable that is being studied, who, that is the target group. The target group here may mean a particular specimen, it may be a particular geographical area, it may be a particular group of people. So on whom this research is being done, where. That is, for example, in one of the studies, the researcher said it is with respect to this geographical area called Bangalore, for example. So where is the study undertaken? When? The time? All researchers may not involve this, but there are some researchers in science streams where time is important. After doing this, what happens? After administering this, what happens? The time also might be another thing that you might be interested in as a researcher. Why? Why the reasons for it? So what is lacking in these titles? Let us see. The effects of schooling, family, and poverty on children's attainment, potential, and confidence. What do you think is missing in this title? I have said earlier what needs to be included in the topic of research. In this topic, for example, somebody has done research on this. What do you think is missing? Yes, please observe carefully the effects of schooling, family, and poverty on children's attainment, potential, and confidence.
So when it
Yes.
is missing, sir, time
Parvati
is missing.
madam. Yeah.
When,
Parvati
when,
madam, can you speak a little loudly?
yes, when, the time, at what age?
Yeah, age. Children of what age? Is it primary school children? Is it middle school children? Is it the university going students? It doesn't say. So that is one of the things which is missing in this. Very good. I'll show you another title. Science teaching and students' attitudes and aspirations. What is missing? Yes? Science teaching and students' attitudes and aspirations. What do you say?
Here also, I think, sir, time that is missing.
Context. The context is
Context.
missing. Which
Ah.
which students? What grade? What level?
Yes.
You know, and whether science teaching is taken as that which is going to influence student attitudes or aspirations, or students' attitudes and aspirations are going to influence the teaching of science.
Yes.
We don't know. What is it that the researcher has in mind? Okay, let me come to another. Home and school influences on academic achievement or well-being. Academic achievement or well-being.
Targeted group, sir.
Yes,
Which group?
the group is missing. Also, there is something more.
Where?
Context.
We
No,
see in a
context
research
is there.
title, you do not use the word or. Achievement or well-being. If the researcher is interested in these two variables, achievement and well-being, then he should be saying both. It cannot be I will do this or that. No. It has to be either this or that or both. You know, that is what is the difficulty with this topic. And this one, a study of teacher-student interactions in classroom. Again, you can see which classroom. Is it university classroom? Is it college classroom? Is it primary school classroom? And what kind of teacher-student relation? Interaction.
And
It is
also
not
variables,
saying.
sir.
Yeah, even the variables. Variables
Dependent or
are.
independent variables.
Yes, it is not defined in that sense. Let me proceed further. Since Parvati Madam said about variables in research, in fact, a variable, is something which varies. What is the opposite of a variable? What is the word opposite to variable?
Invariable.
Yes.
Constant.
Constant. Yes.
Constant.
Yeah, Chinna Madam said, very good, very good. Either something is a constant or it is a variable. And in research, we are studying variables. And there are different types of variables. For example, Parvati Madam, just some time back, she said independent and dependent variable. A variable that influences another variable is an independent variable. A variable which is influenced by is a dependent variable. There is also use of other variables like, for example, the extraneous variables, control variables, etc. There are other types of variables also. And when you look at any experiment, the experiments can be classified into two broad categories. In fact, you know that all subjects do not employ experimental method. Only some subjects are employing experimental method. And in those subjects where experimental method is employed or used by the researcher, it may be either a laboratory experiment or a field experiment. In agricultural sciences, for example, it can be a laboratory experiment or a field experiment. You might do whatever you are doing in the in field, or you might do it in a laboratory. So, whereas in physics, chemistry, the experiments are usually laboratory experiments, or even botany, zoology. In fact, even in botany and zoology, there can be field experiments. Not that it is not possible. However, most of the studies are done in the laboratory context. And there are reasons for the researchers to do studies in laboratory context as well. Let me come to the question of sampling. When we are doing a research study, that we cannot, especially in social sciences, say for example, you are doing research in sociology, or I will take the example which our madam had given earlier on working women. Working women are everywhere in the world. They are in Mysore, they are in Bangalore, they are in other cities, they are in other countries also. Now, when she says, I'm going to do this study on working women, then she cannot take all the working women in her study. It is impossible. So what she does, she will go with a logic of sampling. The sampling. She will take a sample which she will consider represents the entire group of working women. She will take a sample. Say, for example, if her study is in Karnataka, she will take sample from different parts of Karnataka, and she will say these whomsoever I have selected, they represent the working women in Karnataka. So the working women in Karnataka becomes the population, and whomsoever she has selected becomes the sample. I mean, this logic is very simple. You know, if you have observed something in the sample, and if the sample is representing the population, so whatever you have observed in the sample can easily be extrapolated to the population. Whatever happens in the sample will happen in the population also. I mean, that is the kind of logic which we use in sampling. In fact, the best example for this is when you go for purchasing a bag full of rice. You want to purchase a bag full of rice. You will not ask the shop owner to open that bag full of rice and show all the grains. What do? You will take a small sample. You will observe the quality of rice that you have selected. And if whatever you find, if it is good rice, you tend to say that, okay, whatever I am seeing here is applicable to the entire bag of rice. So that is how you go about. And I think that logic is used in our research as well. Let us now think of the ways we can sample. How we can do sample? There are two broad ways of sampling. One is probability sampling. Probability sampling is actually that which we can say is representative, is representing, and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling is classified again into different types of sampling: simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling. Say, for example, simple random sampling is when I'm randomly picking, randomly selecting. Systematic sampling is when you allocate some to subgroups. The stratified is the stratification of the, say, for example, the study on working women in Karnataka. If the researcher classifies working women into the different zones: northern Karnataka, eastern Karnataka, western Karnataka, southern Karnataka, and central Karnataka. Now, there are some districts in the central Karnataka, some districts in the northern Karnataka, some districts in the southern Karnataka, etc. Now, from there, she will proportionately select a certain number of working women. That kind of a sampling is called stratified sampling. Whereas cluster sampling is when you take a whole group together. They are existing as a group. For example, when a sociology researcher or anthropology researcher may take one village, two villages, and all the people who are in that village become the sample. Or a researcher in education wants to do a study on the topics which I said earlier, will go to a particular school and take all the students of that school. So students there are present in a group, and that kind of sampling is called cluster sampling. Whereas non-probability sampling is not a representative sampling. It doesn't represent the population. A non-probability sampling actually is a problem when you are generalizing from that. Convenience sampling. For example, I am again going back to the same study on working women. If madam is staying in Bangalore and she says, see, I am not able to travel everywhere in Karnataka, I cannot do that. So I will take working women in Bangalore. And that kind of sampling is a convenient sampling. It is convenient for her to take people who are only in Bangalore. Quota sampling, judgment sampling, snowball sampling are all sampling methods where it is not randomly selected. That is why it is called non-probability sampling. Please remember, if those of you who know of statistical analysis of data, you would agree with me, probability sampling, if you have done, then only you can use parametric statistics. If you have done probability sampling, if you have followed the sample selection using probability sampling, then only you can use parametric statistics. Whereas if you have not used representativeness in sampling, if you have used non-probability sampling, then the use of statistics will be non-parametric. Say, for example, when you are comparing two groups, experimental control group, you may use t-test if you have done probability sampling, whereas if you have not done probability sampling, you have used a non-probability sampling, then you may go for a chi-square test or U-test. These are different procedures, but they are trying to answer the same question. But the assumptions are very important. Parametric statistics have certain assumptions, whereas non-parametric statistics have certain other assumptions. Let me proceed further. When we want to generalize, I said, whatever I see in a sample is applicable to the population. But that applicability is in terms of probability, is likely to apply. It is something like, after election, there will be exit poll, and they have taken some sample. And based on that sample, they will say that this political party will get so many seats, that political party will get so many seats. Now, that generalization many a times do not come true. And sometimes it comes true also. Now, that generalization is affected actually by two things. One, the randomness in selection. Was it really random selection of voters? And two, how many voters have been selected? The size of the sample. These are two important criteria which actually affects the generalizability of any research finding. See, any knowledge that we are generating through research, if it has to become a generalized knowledge, a declarative knowledge, then the extent to which it becomes declarative knowledge depends upon these two factors, especially in areas like the social sciences. Let me proceed a little faster and come to this one, data collection. How do we do? There are two kinds of data, primary data and secondary data. Primary data, which involves directly collecting, that if you want to know the achievement of students, you are administering an achievement test. If you want to know the property of a certain plant, you are actually bringing that plant and studying that property. That is how toxicity, somebody said. The toxicity is to be actually directly done. It has to be primary data only. It cannot be secondary data. Whereas secondary data is something which is already available. Somebody else has collected that data for some other purpose, and you are using it as a researcher. That is called secondary data. So these are the two kinds of data that we use in making our generalizations. And how do we generate the data? In quantitative data, for quantitative data, there are certain ways of acquiring data, whereas for qualitative, there are certain other ways. In quantitative, for example, we might be using a questionnaire, opinionaire, or rating scale, or checklist, or interview, or a test, or an observation, or a simulation. Whereas in qualitative data, we might be using a focus group, a group of people who are responding to the in-depth individual interviews. Observation, again, of different types. Observations are also natural observation, participant observation. There are so many. Obtrusive observation, non-obtrusive observation. There are different types of observation. And the document analysis. The document is available and you are analyzing. For example, the study in languages. One of our friends was talking about a particular writer, a folk artist or a folk writer. And what is it that his data will come from? It will be from the works, whatever that author has written. So that is document analysis. That is analyzed by the researcher. So this is something which we need to remember in research. Let me now stop this and ask you a very simple question. Now it is going to be 4:30 and I have knowledge. Anything, or you want to say something, or you want to observe something, make an observation. Yes, anybody can speak. Anything that you would like to ask or say. Yeah. No? Quickly, is that
Hello,
somebody?
sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, I
We
have
come in.
a small doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, how can we inculcate the habit of research attitude
In
in
students?
generation? As we know, yeah, in UG or from lower cadre students from high school or PU level, how to make them to involve in the research? So, I
Oh,
mean,
younger
what is
children.
the, yeah, we will motivate
Madam, are you talking about younger children? Are you talking about
younger,
young
sir,
children?
younger generation.
That means
Yes, sir. Yes,
what
sir.
age? What age?
Maybe +2 level onwards.
Okay, fine. See,
So
there
some
is
students will show interest, sir, but not all the students. So how that attitude should be developed in young minds?
very good question. Actually, if you have seen the national policies, or even what Gandhiji said. Gandhiji once wrote in his this thing. No, he was bringing out a newspaper, if you know, and in that newspaper once he wrote that inquiring mind and generous joy are natural to children, which are killed by an adult unthinking mind.
Yes.
What I mean is, children, when they are bored, are very inquisitive. They want to know everything. They will keep on asking questions. Why is it happening? What does it mean? But what happens once you school them, once you put them into schools, we as teachers, what we do, we tell them that there is a correct answer, there is a wrong answer, and correct answer has to be given. Wrong answer will not reward you. So in the process, the students start imitating what is given to them. That is, if the teacher is telling something, that has to be remembered. That has to be remembered by the students. That is how it happens. Whereas, so we are talking about 12th standard. When it comes to 12th standard, they are already into it. They are trying to explore little and by heart more and write whatever they have by hearted. Our testing methods are also like that. But there is a possibility. Definitely it is possible. Something which has happened over several years will not be possible to be removed in few classes. You cannot remove that in 1 or 2 classes. It has to be through a rigorous process again of a different kind. For example, if you give them project work, if you assign them a case study, they have to find out on their own. They have to ask their own questions. They have to answer their own questions. That is where the inquiring mind will come. The research skills will come. If it is marketing, you ask them to study the market. Doing a case study on a certain marketing situation. Or if it is science students, give them a project where they will have to develop something or design something or explore something in the world or outside. Then what happens is they become more active. They become more inquiring. And there are research studies which have said these kinds of approaches to teaching definitely helps the learners to develop certain kinds of abilities in them. In fact, there is a book, I don't know whether you have seen this book. please note down if you want. There is a book by Bruce Joyce and Marsha Vale. And the title of that book is called Models of Teaching. Models of Teaching. And you get it on the internet also. It is available. In that, they have given so many different ways of teaching and what are the likely impacts or effects of those. There is one model of teaching called inquiry training model. Inquiry training model. And definitely the outcome of that model is to develop an inquiring mind. I hope, Rekha madam, I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
So much.
sir.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anyone else? Anyone? Okay, then I will. It is now 4:34. How much time we have? What is the time when we close? Dakshinamurthy sir?
Sir, 5 o'clock, sir.
Huh?
5 o'clock. 3:45 to 5 o'clock, sir.
Oh, 3:45 to 5. That means another half an hour I have. Okay, fine. Fine. The other topic that I'm going to discuss with you is NEP on autonomy to the institutions and autonomy to the learners. Now, that is the topic. What is NEP stand on autonomy to institutions and autonomy to learners? That is the topic. Now, before I begin, let me ask you this question. What do we mean when we say autonomy? What generally we mean? Is there any language teacher here? Language teacher who can answer it easily? What is autonomy? Or anybody else? Anyone else? What comes to our mind when we say autonomy? Yeah, Karthik?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Sir, autonomy means it's full freedom to in designing the curriculum and conducting the examination, the scheme of evaluation.
Very good. Very good. Karthik is working where?
Sir, I'm working in BMS College of Engineering as assistant professor in physics department.
Very good. Very good. Autonomy is, in a way, what you're saying is freedom. Freedom for what? And how we look at autonomy for an institution, you said about, autonomy, freedom to design their own curriculum. Huh? Definitely design their own courses. For example, designing a new course, new degree, which is as per requirement of the market or as per requirement of the students. So autonomy for an institution is of one kind. What about autonomy for the learner? Learner requires a different kind of autonomy. What we will be trying to do is we'll try to explore this from the context of NEP. What NEP has said about the institutional autonomy as well as individual autonomy to the learner. Okay. If that is okay, then let me come to my presentation and share that with you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Are you able to see this? Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. NEP on institutional and learner autonomy. The first thing is what I ask you is that what is autonomy? I think Karthik said is autonomy generally refers to the capacity of an individual or a group to govern themselves, make their own decisions and act independently. This is what I am autonomous, I am not autonomous. What is the opposite of autonomy? What is the opposite of autonomy? Please don't tell no autonomy. What is the opposite of autonomy?
Dependent.
Dependence. Very good. Parvati madam, you are really bright. Dependence. A person is dependent or autonomous. An institution is dependent on the university for the curriculum, or it is autonomous to frame its own curriculum. An individual is dependent on parents for money, or individual is autonomous in earning money. Yeah? I mean, basically, we are talking about certain state of a situation, of a person, certain kinds of capacities available, certain kinds of capacities not available. So that is what broadly we are meaning by autonomy. It is about self-determination and freedom from external control. It is about self-determination and freedom from external control. This is another, that who is taking the decision? Who is making the decision? Am I making the decision or someone else? For example, if you ask your students a very simple question, how did you decide to study this subject? How did you decide to join this course? There will be different answers to that. You as teachers would have definitely asked this question to many of your students, and you know that there will be different types of answers. If a student has said, no, it was because of my own interest, I'm interested in it. Right from my childhood, I have been reading about it and I want to become something of this kind. And that is why I have joined. You are saying, okay, this decision was autonomous. This individual was autonomous in taking this decision. Whereas if a person is saying, see, my parents wanted me to study this, my friends are studying, so I wanted to be with them. There are other reasons. And that shows that the person might not have been autonomous in making that decision. So essentially, it is about decision making as well. This can apply to individuals, communities, or even nations. Autonomy is not just a phenomenon of one individual. It also applies to communities, institutions, and also the nations. How we'll come to that a little later. How is it that we can say a nation is autonomous or not? Okay. Key aspects. What are the key aspects of autonomy? Self-governance is a key aspect. The ability to make decisions and govern oneself rather than being directed by others. Rather than being directed by others. And there are certain very important choices that we make in our life. And those actually times when we have to make those crucial decisions, if we are autonomous, definitely we will be actually owning our decision. Say, for example, if I have decided to join a particular degree based on my own interest, suppose I am not doing well also, I will be not blaming anybody else. I will be saying, okay, somewhere I have made a wrong decision. But if in case somebody else was the reason for me to opt for this, I told you I was not interested. I was not interested in this, but still you wanted me to study this only. You understand what I am saying? Self-governance has a certain kind of implication for an individual. That is, an individual is governing oneself and is also directed by himself rather than directed by others. Independence is another. Degree of freedom from external control or influence in decision making. How much freedom I had in making that decision. Degree of freedom. Those of you who know statistics will know this word very technically, degree of freedom. From external control or influence. Say, for example, if a boy has to take a decision about his marriage, and suppose that boy himself has decided whom to marry, this is one kind of independence in decision making. And suppose that boy was told whom to marry by his family members, then it is a different kind of dependence, or it is a different kind of decision making where the person is making decision on somebody else's influence, somebody else's control. So independence is that another key aspect of autonomy. If you say I am autonomous, I am also independent. Self-determination, the ability to determine one's own course of action and live in accordance with one's own beliefs and values. This is another aspect of autonomy, one's own course of action, and also live according to one's own beliefs and values. And lastly, capacity for choice, the capacity to make informed choices and to act on those choices. Informed choices, that is very important. We will see this, how it operates, as examples of autonomy. Individual autonomy. When we say individual autonomy, a person making his or their own decisions about their career, relationships, or lifestyle. That is individual autonomy. Whereas political autonomy, a nation having the right to govern itself without interference from other nations. What we say as independent country or independent or free country, political, there is political autonomy. And collective autonomy, a group of people, such as a community or organization, having the right to self-governance, like an institution where a set of people are working. They decide what time to start the institution, what time to close the institution. So that is a collective autonomy. So there are different contexts or examples that we can find for autonomy. But autonomy is what I said earlier. Those characteristics or key aspects are present in it. Let us contextualize autonomy. Now, let us see it in action. For example, in healthcare, some of you are belonging to healthcare. Autonomy is a fundamental principle emphasizing the patient's right to make informed decisions about their medical care. A doctor doesn't decide that I have to operate this person. A doctor will inform the patient what is the problem and what has to be done and what are the chances of its success, etc. After that, the patient takes a decision whether I should undergo this medical treatment or not. That is the autonomy contextualized in the situation of healthcare. The patient is autonomous then. If a patient is not autonomous, then somebody else decides. Somebody else is taking that decision. That is one context. In education, for example, autonomy is often encouraged in education settings to foster critical thinking, self-directed learning, and personal growth. Somebody asked earlier about how to train or teach our students in research skills. A research ability is also an ability to critically think, and self-directed learning. That means I am trying to find out what I need to know, where I need to know, etc. And also it is a dimension of personal growth. So that is what is the meaning of autonomy generally that we may find in education. Whereas in workplace, for example, in workplace where we are working, autonomy can refer to the degree of freedom employees have in their work, including the ability to make decisions manage their time and set their own goals. This is in workplace. Do workers have autonomy in their workplace or not? So autonomy actually is cutting across in so many fields of our day-to-day life. It also is actually applicable in different levels, from individual level up to nation, up to a country. So it has both vertical as well as horizontal kind of expansions. That is why it is an important term, autonomy. What is institutional autonomy now? Institutional autonomy refers to the freedom of a higher education institutions to govern themselves with minimal external interference. A college, if it is able to govern itself with minimal external interference from maybe the university, then you call that college an autonomous college. And it is an autonomous institution. It empowers institutions to make decisions related to their academic, administrative, and financial operations. Please remember, these are three important areas of institutional autonomy: academic autonomy, administrative autonomy, and financial autonomy. These are three different areas of institutional autonomy. NEP, what does it say? NEP says the national education policy emphasizes granting greater autonomy to higher education institutions in India, allowing them to innovate and tailor their educational approaches. This is said in the NEP. This autonomy extends to academic, administrative, and financial domains, as I told you earlier. It enables institutions to design curricula, develop teaching methods, and manage finances more independently. More independent. So this is what is said in the NEP 2020 about institutional autonomy. Let us now see key areas of institutional autonomy. As I said, there are three areas. Academic autonomy. This includes the freedom to design curricula. In fact, our friend Karthik mentioned when he was trying to explain the meaning of autonomy, that design curricula, innovate teaching methods, conduct assessments, and revise them regularly. NEP 2020 encourages multidisciplinary courses and flexible outcome-based education. That is what NEP has said. Administrative autonomy. Institutions can streamline their administrative processes, manage finances, and make decisions related to faculty appointments. If an institution is free to make appointments for its staff and other operational matters, then it is administrative autonomy. And the third, financial autonomy. Institutions can manage their own funds, seek alternative funding sources. That is very important. Seek alternative funding sources. Say, for example, collecting donations, money from alumni, etc. Seek alternative funding sources and make decisions about resource allocation. How much of money should be spent on building, infrastructure, computers, etc., etc. That is financial autonomy. So an institution which is autonomous, it is possible it has financial autonomy, but not administrative and academic autonomy. Or it is also possible an institution has financial autonomy as well as administrative autonomy, but it doesn't have academic autonomy. So I think that is what we must be thinking about. A total autonomy, complete autonomy, would mean when an institution has all this. You can see that a university has all this. A university is completely autonomous. Why? Because it has academic autonomy, it has administrative autonomy, and also it has financial autonomy. That is why. But many colleges do not have. Many colleges don't have it. Why? Because they are dependent on the university for the curriculum. They are dependent on the university for the external examinations or the summative examinations and many other things as per the regulations of the university. And they have to follow the university's regulation, being an affiliated college, affiliated institution. So that is what is the benefits of autonomy. What is the benefit? Enhanced academic and excellence. Autonomy allows institutions to adapt to changing needs, experiment with new pedagogical approaches, and foster a culture of innovation. This is an academic excellence as a benefit. Increased flexibility and responsiveness. Institutions can respond more effectively to local needs and student requirements, leading to a more relevant and engaging educational experience. Greater accountability and transparency. When autonomy is given, the institution also becomes accountable and also it becomes transparent. While granting autonomy, NEP 2020 also emphasizes the need for robust accountability and transparent governance structures within the institution. And lastly, improved quality and relevance. By providing greater control over their academic and administrative affairs, institutions can work towards enhancing the quality and relevance of education. Some courses are offered, some courses are not offered. Some courses are designed because there is a demand. You know that many of you in your research, you have used AI technology. You know that AI is an emerging field. It is possible that an institution may design programs, courses, in this field because that is the future. That kind of a freedom. But if you are an affiliated college, you can't do that. If you are an affiliated college, as long as the university doesn't prepare a curriculum for it, you cannot offer. You will not be able to offer. So you are dependent on the university for even this kind of change that has to be taking place. Let me now come to learner autonomy in higher education. When do you think that a learner is not autonomous? What do you think? When a learner is not autonomous? Quickly, there is very little time. Whoever wants to speak, quickly.
He or
When do
she
you
is
think-
not
Yeah.
knowing what he or she wants to.
Yes, definitely. A learner is not autonomous when learner doesn't know what to do, how to do, where to do, etc. Is all dependent on. That means the learner does not have certain abilities. Learner doesn't have certain abilities which makes him or her autonomous. That is one reason. Let me bring to you ways of ensuring learner autonomy, how it can be done. By creating a supportive environment where students can make choices. Creating a supportive environment where students can make choices. Say, for example, if a student asks you, Madam, I have, I don't know which course I have selected science, but then, which one under this should I take? You know that there are optional electives, there are core electives in our curriculum, and a student wants, in postgraduate courses, there are dissertation, projects, and courses. A student can take project or dissertation or a course. In such situation, students may come and ask you. But please remember, you will not direct the student or suggest you do like this. You will only inform the student that what are the plus and minus of doing this and doing that. You are only telling that much. It is the student who has to take or make the decision. You are leaving the choice to the student. But you have created a supportive environment. You have created a supportive environment for the student to make that decision. In the absence of information and knowledge, student is not able to make choices. Your duty as a faculty would be to give that information and knowledge. Let the student make his or her own choice. That is the take responsibility for their learning. They have to take responsibility for their learning. And that will happen only when you are using certain methods of teaching which require the student to take responsibility for learning. For example, you know that when they have to make a presentation, a group presentation, they have to take responsibility for that presentation. When they have to work on a project, they have to take responsibility for completing that project. So you have to ensure that the learner takes responsibility for their learning. That is where autonomy lies. Develops self-regulation skills, when to do what to do. And what are the actions? Actions may involve providing choices in content, assignments, and projects. Choices in content is already provided in CBCS. Choice-based credit system already provides certain kinds of choices. Whereas the NEP has said even multidisciplinary choices. A student of science should be able to take a course from some other discipline, maybe from psychology, maybe from fine arts. Right now, our students are not able to do that. A student of BSc chemistry can only study chemistry, maybe one language, two language, that's all. Whereas with the NEP's recommendation, if it is implemented, a student has choices not only to study courses in psychology or courses in sociology, along with courses in chemistry. So that is the kind of action that is probably going to be taken. Fostering collaborative learning, working together, encouraging self-reflection and goal setting, self-directed learning pathways, the courses of study, and offering resources and guidance to facilitate independent learning, providing advanced material, suggesting appropriate MOOCs. See, as a faculty member, if you are able to tell the student, because you know that a postgraduate student, according to UGC, can also do another post-graduation. And that would be very good for a student if the student is capable. And which other kind of post-graduation would help along with this? Which combination will help? You know, those kinds of information. Which massive online courses are available? Which one will be useful? Which one will not be useful? These kinds of decisions, which they are, if they are taken by the learner with the help of the institutional faculty, then the autonomy is ensured. I think hybrid flexible courses is another, and with this, the provisions made in the NEP, curriculum flexibility and choice, choice-based credit system, multiple entry and exit points. You know that a student can, if this is what is NEP is also vision, that a student who joins for graduation, if after 1 year that student has to leave for whatever reasons, that student may be given a certificate. Say, for example, a Bachelor of Chemistry student leaves the institution after 1 year, may be given a certificate in chemistry. If he or she leaves after 2 years, may be given a diploma in chemistry. And if the student completes 3 years, will get a degree in chemistry. So that kind of multiple entry and exit points are said. Learner-centered approaches, experiential learning, I told about project-based learning, case studies, and simulations. Technology integration, if you are able to create LMS, learning management system, where your courses are placed, a student can study at his or her convenience. Some of the students may be working, they may be, having a different time of their, sleep awake schedule. So LMS, etc. can help. Apps and the learning resources, and if you are able to use them integrated with your class teaching. Teacher as a mentor. Teacher not as a teacher, teacher as a mentor is something that is required to ensure the autonomy of the students. Self and peer assessment. This is also provided in the CBCS system.